This message is from the Kingdom Citizens Pavilion, Jos, Nigeria. Please stay tuned.
There's a time when some issues of life can be learned, and in psychology we call it the 4-14 window. When you are between the age of 4 and 14, that's what we call the formative years. You know, the formative years. It's like you are building the foundation of a house. What everything in your life is going to be, is going to be resting upon. You are going to only learn it within that period of 10 years, between the age of 4 and 14. How many of us are over that here? Everybody. Because the 14, right? How many of us are below 14 here? None. So you are already behind schedule as regards some basic issues of life. And one thing about human beings is that human beings are wired, created, designed by God to be learners. Say learner. The word learner is also the word that we know in church as a disciple. Right? A disciple is a learner. So, for example, parents are disciple makers. But you see, when you hear disciple, your mind goes to where? Huh? It goes to where? It goes to Bible, it goes to where? Church. So the word disciple is not a church thing, it's a human thing. Because you are always learning. Some things that you are being taught is because you asked for it. Majority, you didn't ask for it. It doesn't mean that you still didn't learn. So number one principle that God shared with us years ago is that if you are going to really amount to anything in life, you need to develop an attitude of a lifelong learner. For the rest of your life, you want to be a learner. I was telling my students, yesterday in our club, because these are leaders in their own right, and I said that for you to be qualified to continue to teach, you must continue to be a learner. Did you hear that? What qualifies you to be a parent? What qualifies you to be a teacher? What qualifies you to be a senior in school? What qualifies you to give any kind of instruction to anybody? Is that you are also what? You are learning. So you must be a lifelong learner. And again, Paul was telling Timothy that, that you have been put in an environment since you were a child. He said, from childhood you have known the Holy Scriptures. Now I'm speaking to you now directly. Whatever you are going to learn in life, make sure you don't leave out biblical principles. Biblical principles. Spirituality, being godly is not for Christians, it's for humans. Huh? It's not a church thing, it's a human thing. He said the things which are seen, they are temporary. But the ones that are invincible, they are the ones that are eternal. They are constant. They are permanent. What you are seeing physically, he said they are temporary. Why we do not look at things which are seen, but the things which are not seen? Because the things which are seen are temporary. But the invisible things are what? They are eternal. That is, they are permanent. They are timeless. They are not something that comes and goes. They are constant. It's like those are the things that are godly. God is Alpha, God is Omega, right? And everything in between. I was watching a documentary on TV yesterday. He said, okay, if God is the creator of all things, who created God? If Christians are asked that kind of question, they quickly go for something that's simple. Nobody created God. No. You need to validate it. Right? So it's like you saying that, who builds the builder of this house? Because you can ask that because the builder of this house is a human being. So eternal things are permanent things. They are not cultural. They are not Western. They are not African. They are not Asian. They are just things that are consistent with life at every point in time. It's not a fashion statement, right? It doesn't come and go. They are constant. I think it's in science you talk about things which are constant, which are variables, right? I won't go there because I'm not too skilled in that area. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it says, remember now the Lord your God. When? In the day of your youth. Why I'm hammering on this is that the youth today, they are functioning with a high, spiritual deficit. And it doesn't mean that they are not spiritual. In fact, I believe they are more spiritual than any generation that ever existed. But their spirituality, they don't even know it's spirituality. Things like technology is spiritual. Technology requires a lot of faith. It takes faith to say that if I click on this link, it's going to open me to a new reality, right? It takes faith to believe that little app that you don't know who designed it, you were not there when it was designed, but you believe in the ability of that app, right, to open up and give you some information. That is what? That's faith. That's trust. Because there's no proof. How many of you know how apps work? Do you stop to know how apps work before you use it? No. But today, you see, unfortunately, church is way behind in terms of spirituality. Way behind. Let me give you, I think I've told the story here before. A young, 25-year-old woman or girl showed up in church that everybody knows, pregnant. And the church said, you have sinned because you are not married. He said, are you pregnant? I said, yes, I'm pregnant. He said, you have sinned. Who is your husband? I said, I don't have a husband. Who impregnated you? He said, science. And the church was confused. Right? Is that possible today? Absolutely, but church is not ready for that. You see, we're unfair to these young ones because we have limited God. Because before the girl was even given the opportunity to talk, they've already quit. And this is a church where they put people on black seat. If you know those kind of churches, I won't mention names now. Once you offend, there's a seat at the back. The color of that seat is black. That's where you sit. So even those who don't know you, when they come into a church and see you there, they know you are a sinner. And even in the Bible, even when you have been healed by Jesus, if your name is Simon and you are a leper, you will continue to be a leper forever. Right? Simon the leper, even when we still read today, is still who? Is still Simon. Rahab, who is the great-grandmother of Jesus, is still Rahab who? The harlot. We don't forgive. Rahab is still a prostitute. Meanwhile, is the great-grandmother of Jesus Christ. So these are the kind of things I want to sensitize you young ones that spirit realm is real. That you don't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But the way to learn the spirit realm requires a high degree of sincerity. You must be willing to learn. Don't be quick to draw conclusions. So be a lifelong learner. The other one I want to really emphasize is that for us as a church, those of you who are parents, and those of you who are old here, as a church, God has put us in a position now where what we've spoken about is becoming our reality. This church now is over 80% young people, teenagers, right? If I ask those who are teenagers to stand up here now, majority will stand. Any society that is going to really, really, prosper, develop, must give attention to younger generation. In the world today, 65% of global population, right? They are under 35. 65%. I don't know if my data is correct. 65%. But I always tell you that if you look at those who are leading today, especially in Africa, they are ancient. Our president is Melchizedek. Trump is how old? In fact, there's a generation today, they've never known any other leader in Russia. Right? If you say Putin, you don't have to say Russia. Right? If you look at everywhere in the world now, the leaders, they don't reflect the majority, and they're talking about democracy. So number one, you must be a lifelong learner. Number two, you need to understand what leadership is today. Number three, you need to give attention to the younger generation. That's why I'm so excited that I'm involved in high school and in an elementary school. And then the fourth one I want to talk about, and I go into what I want to really share this morning, is that we must, and I'm going to create time to do that maybe in months to come, we must know about money. We must understand money. You need to know the value of it. You need to know the limitations of it. You need to know how to make it. You need to know how to spend it. The problem with the church is that they don't tell us how to make it. They don't even teach us how to spend it. We're only taught what? How to give it. Am I saying the truth? Hardly will you hear a sermon teaching people how to make money. We don't teach wisdom on how to spend, how to prioritize. We don't teach the wisdom that because you can afford something, you should buy it. That's not enough reason. How do you spend money? Yeah. A lot of people live with the entitlement. I've seen that. The more generous somebody is to you, the more you want to ask the person for more. You take advantage of people when it comes to money, beginning with your parents. So it's very important that we understand, all of these things. There's something I want to share this morning, and it's still in line with, the whole idea I've been sharing for a while about if you're going to be a community of faithful people, we need to understand that it comes by you understanding what it means to be a member. People say that I joined that church. That is a correct way of becoming a member of a church. The word join is where you get the word joint. Did you hear me? Because what connects your body together are what? Are your joints. So a lot of people join churches, but they are not jointed. They are not jointed. There's a guy, I think he lives in the 19th or 20th century, I don't know, Mark Twain. He said something. That's the guy who actually made that very popular statement that don't let school deny you of education. That's the guy who made that statement, Mark Twain. He said something, I want Victor to help us put it up, and let's use this to actually drive our conversation this morning. Because it's not enough to know the definition of truth. What we really want to learn is to be able to experience what it looks like when you live the truth. When you live the truth. When your life is inspired, guided, motivated by truth. Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't need to remember anything. You see, in my generation and in the culture that I grew up, we used a lot of, what people like Sylvester would call idiomatic expressions, right? That's the reason why Jesus will give a lot of parables. In African culture, in most cultures, elders, when they talk, they use phrases, where it kind of hides the meaning so that it provokes thinking, right? Yeah, and that's the whole essence, the language of the Bible. The Bible says that it's the glory of God to conceal a thing. It's the honor of kings to search it out. It's somewhere in the Bible. It said, so Mark Twain said that if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Can you put that quote up and let's look at it? What do you think he's talking about here? That if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Who can give it a try? We're going to break it down. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. This is taking us onto the realm of experience. Yes?
I believe it's because the truth doesn't ever change. It's constant. So you don't have to remember anything. Once it's truth,
you can forget
it. It remains. It doesn't change.
Okay, that's kind of surface. Okay? We know truth doesn't change, but it says if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Yeah. For those who are very poetic, they know that you don't just look at this kind of statement on the surface, right? Can we get a glimpse of, can we dive into what Mark Twain is trying to say? Anyone? If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
So let me give it a try, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Benjamin.
If you tell the truth, or if you give a correct perspective of an issue, it's glaring. So we don't need to cram or try to give any other meaning into it. So we don't have to remember anything about it. Giving a correct perspective of an issue or of a situation.
Okay. I've already given you a clue on how to appreciate this poem. You know, in poem, we say we appreciate it, right? Yeah, to appreciate this, you have to appreciate this. Don't just mentally process it. It's a poetic line, right? What does it mean to appreciate a poem? To interpret it. Yeah. So this needs interpretation. If you tell the truth, and I've said that Mark Twain is pulling us into a realm of experience. In fact, you can actually say that if you live the truth, or if you live by truth, what he's basically saying is that when your life is inspired by truth, it eliminates the burden of men. You know that they say that if you tell a lie, you need 10 other lies, to what? To cover the previous one. But if it's the truth, you don't need to remember what you've said, how you've lived, the kind of decision you've made. Right? You don't need it. And to begin to cover lies is stressful. Is burdensome. Liars don't rest. That's why the Bible said there is no peace, not to the witch in your village. Not to village people. There is no peace to who? To the wicked. If you don't live a life of truth, there's something I always tell these young ones. Every time they see me and they do like this, I say, why are you running? Because they know that, when I see PD, maybe they remember not what they've done right, maybe something they've done wrong. Is that true, Igwe? Every time you see me, okay, let me arrange myself. I hope he has not heard anything bad about me. It's not only Igwe, it's most of you guys. When you see me, you don't greet me with a smile. You remember, or you are trying to recollect something that you might have done, So all the definition of truth that we are given is right, but we are putting it into the realm, So truth does not require any kind of maintenance. It doesn't require any kind of upkeep. Why do you hide your phone from your spouse? Or from your parents? That's it. Are you guys with me? But lies requires remembering everything you've said. Have you heard this thing from a lot of liars? I was quoted out of context. That is the phrase of liars. They quoted me out of context. That's not what I mean. So if you come and say, my name is Tinu Alareju, and say, she said her name is Tinu Alareju, there's no other thing to say, right? Because that's her name. That's her name. But lies demand remembering what you fabricated. You want to be sure that it's still okay. It requires maintenance. That is what I call truth has burden. It has challenges. But within the challenges, it's so liberating. A few weeks ago, I said something here that I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't have to prove anything to anybody. And that's what Jesus Christ said when he said, the prince of this world comes to me and he found nothing in me. I'm free. That is what I want to sensitize you guys to. There is this freedom that comes, with living the truth. Now, we came up with a phrase in cases. We said, I'd rather fail with dignity, right? Rather than succeed with what? Dishonorably. It's good to fail with dignity rather than succeed with dishonor. You see, I'm telling you from experience that living the truth comes with heavy burden. You will lose a lot of things. 2 weeks ago, last week, we asked a question. Since you started following Jesus, what has it cost you? If it hasn't cost you anything, I only have one information for you. You've not been following him. You've not been following him. If you have not lost a friend because you're following Jesus, if you have not lost some money, if you have not lost some opportunities, you're not following him. This following Jesus doesn't come by gain. And that's the life that I believe God will have me, sort of model to everybody, especially the young ones. You will never go wrong living by truth. Nothing liberates like truth. If you are accused of something and the accusation is true, and you say, yeah, it's true, case closed. Right? If it's in the law court, you go to jail. There's no argument. In fact, you pay the lawyer, lower fees. If you are going to court to go and say, that thing they accuse me of, it is true. Living by the truth is stressful, but also comes with freedom. Have you heard the phrase before, when you don't have skeletons, where? In your wardrobe or cupboard. Cupboard is the best one. Yeah, cupboard. This wardrobe is too Western. The American will say your closet. No, cupboard. No skeleton in your cupboard. Where did we get the whole idea of skeleton? You have killed somebody there that you can't reveal. And the thing has, gone through some various stages of putrefaction, is decayed, and then there's skeleton. You will want to hide skeleton. Do you have things that you are hiding? So, today people don't tell lies. And really, if you really tell the truth, it's very hard to believe. You can only live the truth. People don't tell lies today. They are actually lies. They are embodiment of lies. And that is the life that Jesus Christ lived. He didn't say, I'm telling the truth. He said, I am the truth, right? He said, when you see me, you see the embodiment of truth. The way you are looking around here, is that really the way you feel? You know, that was time I said here that I dress the way I feel. Yeah. Although that has changed a lot now in many years because I don't dress up again. In those days when I really want to be serious, I wear a three-piece suit and tie. And it's serious. If I'm wearing something like this, it means I'm feeling lazy. What is it that you communicate by your appearance? Does your appearance communicate your true identity, or you are trying to make an impression? We live in a world right now where people are just trying, they just want to make an impression. When you follow Jesus, you begin to experience the liberating burden of truth. I remember, I got this phrase, glorious burden, when I went to the U.S. President Museum in America. And they said, being the president of America is a glorious burden. And they were using then, I think it was Obama who just came to power. And they showed the picture of Obama when he was a state senator. And maybe few months after he became president. When he was a state senator, his hair was all black. Few months after he became U.S. president, he was all gray. So he said it's a glorious burden because he carries the weight of the world on his shoulder. So when you really walk with God, I call it a worrying, frustrating, sometimes depressing, yet fulfilling experience that comes from living the truth. If I'm preaching a gospel that is not, really the gospel, this place will be full. You know why? People love lies. When we were growing up, we used to listen to one Ebenezer Obey song. He said, if you go to where they are preaching the gospel, he said, only few stay. He said, but when you go to where they are lying, right? He said, the place will be full. And it's still the same today. The reason many of you have not acted on what you know to be true is because of the burden it comes with. Because life promises freedom. Look at what Paul said about living the truth. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. This is what happens when you live the truth. Are you guys with me? You see, you can take it down to your own level. What is the thing that you believe to be true? To what extent have you aligned your life with that? Yeah. Paul says, I don't want you guys to be ignorant. 2 Corinthians chapter 1. Of our trouble, which came to us in Asia, that we were burdened beyond measure, above strength, so that we despaired even of life. If you translate this in the modern day English, Paul is saying, the pressure was so much, I contemplated suicide. That's what he's saying. I wanted to end it because of the pressure. If you have a lot of people talk about depression today, and it's just sociological, psychological depression. Lies, unrealistic expectations will depress you. Truth will also depress you. Yeah. Truth will depress you. Jesus was depressed in the garden. Yeah. Peter was depressed. Look at chapter 4 of 2 Corinthians, verse 7. He said, because we are humans, I'm paraphrasing it, because we have this treasure in earthen vessels, so that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. He said, we are hard-pressed because of the truth on every side, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. You see, that is the experience. This is why many know the truth but can't live with it, because of the pressures that it brings. But if you learn it at this stage, what Jesus said when he said, I am the truth, he said, I am the personification of truth. The most terrible decision you could take in the days of Jesus was to be his friend. Right? Was to be his friend. It was frustrating working with Jesus. It brought untold hardship to those who are following him. Families rejected them. Those are the things that we have totally forgotten. So this is what I want you to know, that if you say you follow Jesus, that means you've come to understand what salvation really is. That Jesus Christ came to actually put a life on offer. That his life can be shared. You can live like him. You can really live like Jesus. So a saved person is somebody who's come to terms with the reality that Jesus' life can be shared and it should be shared. And that's why Jude will talk about salvation as a common experience. He said, brethren, I'm writing to you, regarding our common salvation. Because truth is only true when shared. We don't have truth until a group of people, right, share it and becomes a culture. That is why Paul said, if you are going to make anybody leader in the church, right, he said, number one, the person must not be self-willed. Because if you are self-willed, you open yourself up to lying. The writer of Proverbs said that woe unto those who are wise in their own eyes. If you are wise in your own eyes, you are believing your own truth about yourself. So the life that Jesus put on offer is a life that invites you, that challenges you to come and live the truth. And you are being called to live this truth in a culture of lies. We live in a world of lies. True? People don't just tell lies today, they live it. Lies on rampage. What kind of impression are you trying to create on people? Are you living a lie? The reality is, it's easier to believe lies than to believe truth. You know why? Lies will promote you. In fact, we seek lies. We feed on lies. That's why somebody will give you some compliments which you know is not true, but you feed on it. You relish in it. The reality is we are caught in between the culture of lies and the culture of truth. Sometimes we bear with lies because we are helpless. And then you start wondering, why can't the problems of the world be, why are there problems? It's because there are lies in the world. Only truth liberates. And what God promises is freedom. There's no human being who doesn't like freedom. Galatians chapter 5 verse 1, it said, I like the NIV, it said, it is for freedom that Christ has made you free. You see, truth liberates. It frees you. It gives you clarity of mind. You don't have to watch your back. But if you live a lie, you always have to cover your tracks. Look at all the money in the world. Look at all the tech. We still have problems. Yeah. Because there's no truth. I like this scripture, 2 Timothy chapter 2, because it has to do with young people. Truth liberates, but not without responsibilities. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22, say flee. The word flee is an old English. To flee means to run in a haste. to hasten out of a particular situation. He said, flee youthful lusts. Youth is often identified with lust. What's lust? Who can help me with that word? These are old words. Perverted, because desires can be. So once it's lost, it's not just desire, it's a desire that's not right. And if you say it's perverse, most of the time, it might not be so outrightly negative, but it's something that fulfills your own, it satisfies you. And if it satisfies you, most of the time it's at the expense of others. He said, flee, and that's what is identified with kids. Children manipulate. And sometimes, even in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you still manipulate. I've worked with a lot of people who they are experts in emotional blackmail. Just one facial expression. And they unload guilt on you. People just want to be appreciated. And we have it so much in this culture. Somebody walks in an airport. Somebody forgot his luggage in the airport. And he kept it. And they said they must give the person an award. Why? You want to steal it? That's a culture that is turned on its head. Right? You do your work, you want me to say thank you. I can say it, but please don't desire it. Don't demand it. Right? Yeah. It's like you pay your children's school fees and you want them to come and prostrate, Daddy, thank you. If they do that, that's okay, but it's not something you desire. You don't demand it because it's your responsibility. Because people will come and say, I know how much I've spent on this family. Who am I the one that's supposed to spend it? It's childish. Flee youthful lust, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace with all those who call. Can you see the community there? It must be shared. Do this in company of those who call on the name of the Lord out of a pure heart. Avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, knowing that they generate strife. A servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but be gentle to all, able to teach, patient in humility, correcting those who are in opposition. If God perhaps will grant them repentance so that they may know the truth and that they may come to their senses and escape, this is where I'm going, and escape the snare. The word snare, they say trap. Escape this trap of the devil because they've been taken, what? Captive to do his will. The reality is a lot of people are in captivity. If these were the days in the early 90s when the church was so high on deliverance, there are a lot of people that are candidates for deliverance. But the deliverance, the captivity in those days were, they call it demonic. They call it ancestral cause. They call it all those kind of. But today is an intellectual oppression. It's a mental captivity. A lot of people, and many of them carry the insignia of being born again, but they've been held captive. The reality is our souls are at war. And many don't know that they need to fight. It's a good fight for your soul. It's not a time to fear or be in despair, especially you young ones. Because the things you consume, you don't even know who authored it. The ideas that come to shape you. This thing started on a very subtle level. I remember there's a guy in Detroit, he still comes around, he's Colin's friend. Somebody who is Wale's friend too. He's training everybody around. The guy is a trainer. At the time we were having one meeting with one of our consultants who was part of the team that came. He's your friend now. He's a trainer, training everybody. I remember my first interaction with this guy. He said he's a musician. I said, okay, what kind of music do you? He said it's gospel music. I said, what's the message of it? He said it's to save souls. I said, who are your audience? He said, born again Christian. I said, do you know that you have mental health issues? You just define for me a mad person. Yeah. Your music is gospel, right? The audience is, the message is to save souls, and your audience are saved souls. Can you see your problem? You see, that might give you a very graphic illustration, but that's where many people are. A lot of things you talk about as if you are an expert, you don't even know, yeah. It's like when the donor agency I was consulting for, their director came to Nigeria because they said they want to come and, do like an assessment of all the grants they have given. I met this guy in Lagos. All the addresses were fake. The ministry didn't exist. And they've collected thousands of dollars. I was so embarrassed. I felt ashamed that I'm a Nigerian. The guy looked at me and said, "Dad, does it mean the guy stole the money?" and you know the sincerity of Americans. Does it mean that the guy took the money and, what did they do with it? I was looking at the guy. His story reminded me of the American that came to Nigeria and police stopped them and said, "How are you?" He said, "They are so nice. They are greeting us." They are very nice. They are greeting us. They're even asking, how am I on the weekend? You know how weekend, right? Yeah. Now real high. How is the weekend? He said, "They are so nice. Very nice." He said, "Do you mean the guy took the money and sort of spent it on, other things, or maybe the project failed?" I said, "Yeah, I said, you are an epitome of that scripture that says you believe the best of all people. That this guy is a scam. This is what they call scam. You are a MAGA. You fell for it." He said, "Really?" The guy was so, and even the next day he was still going out, still having meetings and telling people the kind of project. He still wants to give out more money. What Jesus came to model is that you follow his footsteps. The life of Jesus was that he declared a war on lies. If you are not fighting lies, you are living it. And they say that if somebody is sleeping, there's hope that you can wake him up. If somebody is pretending to sleep, you can't wake that person up. A lot of us, we've come to a point where we know that this is a lie, but we become comfortable with it. And the thing is, if you lie very, very well, after a while it begins to sound to you like truth because it becomes your reality. Because truth really is whatever corresponds to reality. And we live in a world now where people have their own truth, so truth has become privatized. This is my own truth. Jesus lived a life that the only way to overcome or to live by truth, to live the truth, is to declare a war on lies. So when he said you will know the truth, let's read it in its proper context. If you expand that scripture in John chapter 8 verse 32, he's saying that you will know the truth about lies. And the truth you know about lies is what will liberate you. Did you get that? Because in that same context, he was saying that, hey, the devil is the author. That's what it means by father. It's not biological. It's the author of lies. The devil lies, and his lies are good. If it's possible to have a good lie, right? The lies are quality. Lies that it becomes very easy to believe. And lies is not just what we tell, but the one we inhabit. The one we express. What are lies? If you know that truth is what corresponds to reality. Lies are false narrative, false beliefs. that we are allowed to shape us. Lies wreck souls. Ephesians chapter 4. I like the way Paul described it here. Verse 17. He said, "This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk." Look at it. He said, "In the futility of their minds, having their understanding darkened, because they've been alienated from the life of God. And because of this ignorance that is in them, because of, look at it again, the blindness of their heart, and they give themselves over to all kinds of lewdness, greed, licentiousness, and all those kind of things." I met a guy on the flight. He was telling me about some politicians in Nigeria, and he mentioned a particular one, which I'm not going to mention his name. He said the guy stole so much money that he got to a point he was stealing from himself. He didn't even know. Yeah, he was stealing from himself. He didn't know that the money he was stealing actually is the one he has stolen. That is how bad it can be. How do you declare war on lies? You have to develop a love for truth, even though it's burdensome. Can you decide to live by what you've come to know as truth? Especially in a world where truth is so difficult. The question I left here with last week was, how do you define success? What is success to you? Is it plenty of money? I like it. I like plenty of money. Right? Yeah, money is good. And we have to teach these young ones that money is good. But it doesn't come by wishing. It doesn't come by giving. It doesn't come by praying. It comes by work, hard work. I sent a message to these guys when they started ministering this morning. I said, "You guys are lazy. We have overdone this song." Hard work, hard work. You can't have creativity if you don't have the value of hard work. When you want all A's and you are not committed to hard work, you want to cheat, right? Hard work, hard work. Lies are becoming easier to believe because we can even see it. That people who live lies, I mean, you can imagine we have musicians today who are superstars, they don't play any instrument. Yeah. I grew up in a generation where, musicians were artists, not performers. Right? Hard work. Not just putting some electronic drums together. And this has spread that even places where we call the habitation of truth, we don't find it there. And Jesus warned about false prophets. I listened to one, this week. If you want your people to give offering, just tell them to give. Don't manipulate. You say, "I give minimum of $12,000 every week." The guy knows what I'm talking about. You listen to all those guys, right? Say $12,000 every week. I say, "Really? What's your business, Mr. Chairman?" Everybody in that church will just sink into guilt. Right? You just take them captive. $12,000. Do you know how much that is? Multiplied by 1350, right? Every 7 days. And I can't see your factory anywhere. I can't see what you produce. Number one, is not true. Right? It doesn't give $12,000 every week. It might be recycling. Because somebody said, "Boy, you're giving it to yourself, sir." Yeah. You see, that's how brazen we've become with lies. We need to know the truth about lies, and it begins with the father of lies, itself. These young ones, when you say something is evil, there's a devil, they don't believe. If you don't believe the devil is real, what you've just said is that you don't believe God is real. Because God is the one who introduced the devil to us. You are calling God a liar, right? If you don't believe that the devil is real. What you basically said is what? God is lying, right? lot of these kids don't believe that evil is real. But they practice the evil every day. The devil is no myth. But you see, he wants you to believe that it doesn't exist. When you not believe he exists, he now wants you to believe that he's so powerful and he's going to destroy you. That's it. Those are the two extremes. And that's why I tell parents, when your child says, Mommy, Daddy, I'm afraid there's something under my bed, don't say there's nothing. There is something there. You can't be afraid of nothing. Don't say there's nothing. Tell them there is something, but you have the power over it. The first lessons I taught my children was that evil is real. Right? But you have the power over it. Spiritual warfare is not praying loud. It's you knowing the truth about lies. That feeling that you don't have to study hard is from the devil. Whatever gives you the impression that life is easy is from the devil. But you know what? The devil wants me to talk about him every day, every time we meet. But the only thing is we need to know in reality that he exists. I don't know whether he's male or female. It can be male, it can be female. It can be an idea, it can be a thought, right? In fact, that's where he dwells in. There are many attitudes we have that are inspired by this lie that he tells. Truth and lies both offer freedom. But look at the way, the book of Matthew, Jesus Christ said, enter, Matthew 7:13, enter by the narrow gate. I thank God that, what is happening in Iran has brought this scripture back to us. How many of us have heard of Strait of Hormuz? Huh? You've heard of Strait of Hormuz. When we were reading this, we didn't understand the meaning of narrow. Now we see it, kuro. The word straight, Strait, it means a particular passageway that is restricted. It can't take a lot. And that Strait of Hormuz is one of the most, that's why we don't have power now. That's why oil price is going up. That Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, if you look at it, if you Google it, it's a very narrow passageway that it takes one ship at a time for them to pass through. But they need to pass through that place for oil to be distributed globally. So it's a critical point, but it's very narrow. So that word straight, if you read this scripture in King James, it's used the word narrow there, is straight. And it said wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction. Whatever, let's put it in very plain terms. Whatever you find so easy to do in this world has the signature of the devil. Which one is easier, to fight temptation or to give in to it? Huh? Which one is easier, steal government money or work for money? Yeah. Which one is easier, cheat an exam or read hard for it? To cheat is easy. And freedom is humanity's utmost desire. So lie promises you freedom. Truth also promises freedom. And false prophets are on the rampage now. Everybody is a liar now. They are killing us. Right? Yeah. Do you take time to check the information you consume before you either believe or dispense with it? If I've ever seen a society where people just talk without any kind of, it's Africa. The things you consume on social media, we need to keep talking about that. We need to keep talking about it. And I'm not saying get away from social media. Stay there. Do you know why these kids are struggling with having their own TikTok channel? they can't create anything. That's why. That's why you guys have not had it. Because you know that the things you want to copy is not consistent with the things we believe. Whatever you are doing and you are ashamed of it, this is the way they taught me righteous living. So whatever you are doing and you'll be embarrassed if it's on the pages of newspaper tomorrow, it is wrong. Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah. Whatever you are doing and you can't do openly is wrong. You can't claim that I do it, it is wrong. So it's not only in politics that we see lies, even in churches, even in homes. False prophets are on the rampage now, spread across all sectors. And their MO, the modus operandi, is lies. Quality, believable lies. How do you confront lies? Is by loving truth, regardless of the pain. I was talking to one of our parents yesterday. I said, this is what your wife is trying to do. And he said, sir, sometimes to have peace, you have to agree with something that you know is wrong. I said, no. You can't sacrifice right, for wrong for the sake of peace. You will come back to it. It's laziness. They say, I'm just going. Don't teach all these young married people that is your letter. By the time she messes up, it will come back to you. Yeah. It will come back to you. Let them just have their way. Imagine she to you allowing you have your way. Everybody is just allowed to have their way. Do we still have a home? Huh? We are living a lie. That's what that young boy came to the pastor and said, Pastor, I have a problem. My parents will always fight in the car on the way to church. And when they get here, they say, honey, sugar. Pastor, I'm confused. It's a problem. They are always fighting. But when they get to the congregation, they are calling themselves honey, sugar, every, shawarma, whatever. They are calling themselves. They are living a lie. That's why I told you here years ago, if I'm fighting my wife and you are coming to my house, I won't stop. You meet us fighting. Huh? And it's to let you know that couples fight. Huh? Yeah. Good relationships are tensed. And I went to that Bible school and the man said, I've never fought my wife. I said, really? You are not married, sir. What's a lie? That which doesn't correspond to reality. Lie is an illusion. It doesn't exist. But it makes you believe that it exists. It makes you believe it's real. Because the things you do that you know is not right, you will not want that to be done to you. Like somebody said, if suddenly you discover that the doctor that's going to treat you cheated in the exam, he said, oh wait, that the guy cheated to be a surgeon and he has scalpel that is going into your skin. Huh? Or that the pilot cheated, the one that's going to fly that plane. And that's why they say, if you bribe a policeman so that you can go past, when the armed robber is coming to your house, he will bribe the policeman and he will have a passageway to your house. Yeah. Simple, but profound. Truth is reality. That means it's reliable. You can build on it. Life is unreal. It means it's unreliable. And that hints at spiritual. What does it mean to be spiritual? To be spiritual means to be able to see life for what it is, right? and truth for what it is. One thing is, if you love truth, it becomes very difficult, even impossible for you to be deceived. That's why I love that principle, the first rule of con. That if you are conned, you know the meaning of that? If you are scammed, it's really because you are greedy. Yeah. The first rule of con is, if it is too good to be true, you are right. It is too good, it can't be true. Have you ever seen anybody become a millionaire or billionaire by playing Bet Naija? Huh? But people play because of the promise, right? You know you play sometimes, right? Is it sometimes? Or you don't play? Okay. Because the way you are agreeing, say, once in a while. Now that guy asks, are you a born-again Christian? I say, sometimes. I have the on and off button. Why do you think people still believe in it? Because they have good life. They sponsor, Big Brother Naija. Right? The person that they paid $100,000, did he play pool? He didn't. He was locked in the house for how many months? Those Big Brother something. How many days did they spend there? You guys watch it now. Why are you looking at me? You don't know how long they stay in that house. Huh? Is it more than a month? How many days? It's 1 month. They stayed there for 1 month. That's enough. Huh? 3 months, 90 days. They didn't play Bet Naija, but Bet Naija pays them to get other people playing. Do you think the guy that owns Bet Naija wants you to win? But I see how people believe it. You win 10,000 today, you stake another 5. So spirituality is when you are spiritual, when you are able to see life for what it is and truth for what it is and choose the truth regardless of its pain. Truth is painful. Truth is burdensome. It's a worrying yet fulfilling burden that those who carry it. You think I don't like to come to church in a convoy? Huh? Even if I don't need the cars, I just go in a convoy. To live true is challenging. That's why you don't like doing things in secret. We've been asking, let's contribute some money so that we can help those who are, affected by this crisis. If it's another church where we say, okay, we want to have a whole video show and all those, people get interested in that. But the simple thing that don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. We don't like that. Truth will never be popular. It will never be. And it gets to a time that, because lies too is burdensome, but it's not liberating. So the question is, everybody that is here, regardless of where you are carrying a burden, one burden or the other. So what kind of burden are you carrying? Is it the burden of the straightness of life? How narrow your options are? Is it the burden that comes with being a truth bearer? If you see the way Jesus was described in the Bible, and you've studied it, it will be very difficult for you to be distracted by all these things you see around people being done in his name. He was a man of sorrow, acquainted with grief. Did you read that in the Bible? If Jesus lived today, he would not be a popular person. But many of even young people, they want to hammer. They want to be popular. They want to have large followership. They want to be known. Jesus operated by the principle of obscurity. He was despised, rejected, man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. That those, if we even know, they don't even want to identify with him. Is that what we see today? Is that what we are modeling to our kids? Whose burden, what burden are you bearing? I'll give you 3 types of burden. There's societal burden, expectations of society. I've seen this with many parents. They don't care how their kids pass. They just want their friends to know that my kid passed. Yeah. They don't care. Societal expectations. Yeah. The world will place on you unrealistic standards. They will demand you to buy into philosophies, and they demand compliance. Look at Colossians 2:8. The young ones should read this. Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. It says, beware lest anyone cheat you through philosophy, empty deceit, according to the traditions of men, according to the basic principles of the world, and not according to Christ. Give me the Amplified. It says, see to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy, empty deception, pseudo-intellectual babble, according to the tradition and the musings, of mere men following the elementary principles of the world rather than following the truth, the teachings of Christ. What is it that is shaping your mind? I was shocked the last time I said our kids will not graduate here because of some infractions. And the fight from the parents. It's a problem. Societal burden, world burden. They want you to meet their standards. They set those standards and they want you to comply. Number 2 is your own personal burdens. When you place on yourself challenges that you don't have the resources to carry. Yeah. You see somebody having something and you want to have it, you don't know the circumstances of that person. Yeah. You see me with iPhone 17 Pro Max and you too want to have it. What's your salary? Huh? You don't even know the details of it. You don't know the terms and conditions of it. So please don't copy people. Don't place unnecessary burden on yourself. Right? You can't deny yourself of anything. You always have a sense of failure and you have this desire to achieve. The Bible says that a man who will want to be rich at all costs, he cannot be innocent. You will steal. You always want to prove society wrong. You want to create an impression. Right? I said, the car you drive, if nobody will see it, will you still drive it? Most of the time we drive because people are looking at it. Right? You are going on the road and you deliberately press your horn so that people will look. If nobody looks at it, that's why I told the parents, why don't you go and celebrate your kids at home? They are not satisfied. They want the world to see it, the success of their kids. You are deceived. Who cares? Was my elder sister that told us years ago, is that when I go to Swansea, I said, everybody's looking at me. I said, the other one, no, it was one that told us, I said, the other ones too think you are looking at them. Nobody cares about you. Nobody. The things you have, you never value. And today it starts from the cradle. The kind of dreams that children have now. Bible says it was James who asked, where do wars and fights come from? Say they come from your desires for pleasure. You lost, you don't have. You murder, covet, you cannot obtain. You fight because whatever you want to consume on your own pleasure, you cannot be innocent. Personal burdens that you place on yourself. The Bible says, don't worry about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, about your body. You know, it said godliness with contentment is what? Is great gain. There is nothing material in this life that can ever satisfy you. After all, when I was growing up and I want to buy another car, I begin to see the car. It's as if the car, they just full town with it. You begin to see it everywhere. Whatever you desire, you begin to see it. You begin to see it. It's as if everybody has it. You know. Greed. Whatever you have that is worrying you, or you don't have that is worrying you, it's not because you don't have it, it's because others have it. I used to give a very funny analogy in those days. You go to a naming ceremony, you want to be the baby. You go to a wedding, you want to be the bride. You go to a funeral, you want to be the dead body. Look at what they are saying about this dead body. I wish it is me. That is how terrible it can be. You just want attention all the time. So when he walked into the room, everybody was just looking at him. Who cares? You are the one looking at them. When you look at them, their eyes catch your own. You think they are looking at you. But there's a right burden. It's the burden that truth places on you. It's that glorious, burdensome privilege of sharing the life of Jesus. And it's not ambition. When you live with that kind of burden, you don't have anything to prove. There was Yonggi Cho in those days when he was doing healing services. Somebody said, what if you pray and they don't get healed? He said, what if I pray and they get healed? You want to put me under pressure? Say if they don't get healed, I didn't say I'm the one healing. They can blame God. Do you love freedom? Right? If you want to control your life, you can never be at peace. If you want to be in charge of your life, somebody is coming for you, somebody is want to hurt you, this one they are chasing you, village people, you will never be at peace. When a man's way pleases the Lord, he makes even his village people to be at peace with him. Yeah. The tragedy is that even young people today, they have all these inordinate ambitions. And we need to put that right. How can we put it right? There's a scripture I want to end with. How do you win the war on lies? It's by loving the truth. When you don't love the truth, it's a very scary scripture. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. If you want to study the sheep of your life, you are tempting yourself above that which you are able. You know. Yeah. He said the coming of the lawless one. He said the coming of the Antichrist. And I hope you know what Antichrist means. It's not a guy with horns. It's a spirit. It's a value system. It's a belief system. It's whatever is opposed to Christ that also want to masquerade as Christ. Antichrist doesn't happen in the way it happens inside church. It's according to the working, it's through the activity of Satan, attended with great power, all kinds of counterfeit miracles and deceptive signs, false wonders, all of them what? Lies. Verse 10. And with all unrighteous deception among those who perish. Why are they perishing? Because they did not receive the love of the truth that they may be saved. And because they did not receive the love of the truth, for this reason, God will send them strong delusion. Because of this, God will send upon them a misleading influence, an activity of error and deception, so that what? They will believe the lie. If you don't love the truth, what will happen is that you will buy into lies. I mean, how can you sit in a church where the man is telling you he pays $12,000 every week, and you still sit there? Those guys are believing a lie. Yeah. These are the kind of things. You don't even ask, okay, what does the guy do? You know, it's only here that people just talk about money and we don't ask, what do they do? Yeah. What do they do? We just believe the lie. And the reason it's so easy to believe that you put yourself next. If it can happen to me too. Yeah, me too. Please, I owe it to you. I have come to a point in my life where, I don't need a lot of things. I can get by with nothing. Yeah. I'm at peace. It was my doctor, your family doctor, who used to say it in those days. If I hear footsteps down my corridor, I'm not afraid. So I'm not owing anybody. Yeah, I'm not owing anybody. We've not come to a point where we value contentment. You are more concerned about what you don't have. Even when you now have it, you open another page of what you don't have. I see how people just compare themselves to another person when you don't even know. I started working in 1987. My salary was 4,557, naira per annum. When naira was at par with pounds. You know how much I bought my first car? 7K. That one can't buy data today. How much is 7K data? How many gig? 7 gig. Then he bought me a car. 7K. That's 120Y. Yeah. But today, when they even talk about the car they want to drive, that's why I told you one case student say, I love your car. They don't think car. You are too young to think about car. Car is not your problem now. Where is contentment? Where is godliness? Where is service? Where is hard work? I don't know why I'm telling you this, but a lot of us, we've actually bought into lies. Next week, I'm going to talk to us about how do we live certain in an uncertain world. The uncertainty in this world will continue to rise. Will continue to rise. Is your life going to be built on that? Or you want to find when that hymn says that all other ground is what? Is sinking sand. He said, on Christ the solid rock I stand, where all other ground. A lot of us envy those other grounds. You are not going to have a pastor who wants to come here, and when you close, you go and touch my car so that you can receive it. If you want to receive that, my Camry, it's all right too. It's all right too. I don't even know the year. It's 2209. But it doesn't. I take care of it. That car is in good state. If it coughs, I give you cough syrup. I steward it well. Yeah. But many of you thrash the things you have, you don't even know how to take care of it. Because you are looking for something. One guy told me, said he was talking about, I think it was Michael, said they need to do the road to his village. Somebody said, you can do it now, it's not just 1 billion. I said, that man might not have credit on his phone. He just says 1 billion. The way we just mention money. Because we live in a society that doesn't ask questions. I said, the only place where success comes before work is in dictionary. And because of alphabetical arrangement. That's the only place where success comes before work. You want to have money? Because I'm going to teach you. Work. Right? Don't pray for favor. Do what? Work. When do you start working? Whatever your hand finds to do. I told you one of the things I did when I was very young. One guy was building my father's retirement home. The guy said we should come and help him. I said, you are going to pay also. Yeah. He said, it's your father's house. No, it's my father not paying you. We are going to pay us. I said, that man is still owing us. I'm going to ask my younger brother whether he actually finished paying. Unfortunately, the man is late now. Because we have to know work. Value it. We are asking you guys to go and do vocational internship. We don't want to do it. There's somebody where you do it and they pay you. But if they pay you, it's straight away shawarma. Right? Yeah, it's snack, right? Snack. There is a liberating burden of truth. I can't talk to you enough about that. Lies put a burden on you. Truth also put a burden on you. But the burden of truth is liberating. The burden of lying is actually imprisons you. It takes you captive. Let's be on our feet. So as we go into this week, opportunities will come. Challenges will come. Where you will be tempted to live a lie, you will be challenged to live by truth. What's going to be your choice? It has been on my mind all week, and I don't know who really needs that, but I believe these young boys and girls really need this. We live in a world of lies. What lie are you telling yourself? Which one have you told yourself? What impression have you given your kids? In fact, let's talk about the one that you've given yourself. Have you found yourself in a place where your life is just built around what makes you comfortable? That's a lie. What are your aspirations? What are your dreams? Sometimes I ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Are you laying the foundation to make that a reality in 5 years? I gave an example of a husband and wife during this meeting. Have you decided to take the path of least resistance, where you can confront with truth? Battles that are not fought before they come, you will always lose it. Fight today's battle so that you don't have to fight a war. I want you to really think about this. Think about it. Are you addicted to convenience? Do you always take that which is easy? When you wake up in the morning, is it about creating an impression on people? Who are the people that you want to really, really please? Do you indulge yourself? There are 3 vocations, 3 occupations that the Bible used to define the follower of Jesus: an athlete, a farmer, and a soldier. One thing that is common to those 3 vocations is that of sacrifice, delayed gratification. An athlete had to maintain a certain kind of diet. A farmer will choose not to eat the seed and plant it and wait, water, nurture. A soldier offers his or her life for others. Those are the 3 vocations that the Bible used. I want you to really think about yourself, think about your life, where you've been, where you are today, and just project, where am I headed? We're just using 5 years. Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? I personally have a 2-year plan. I plan a major transition when I turn 65. And I'm laying the foundation for that today. I have 2 years to make a major transition in my life. And I have terms and conditions to making that happen. I'll leave no stone unturned to ensure that that happens. What about you? The earlier you know these things, the better. If you're here, you're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, I want you to look at your life. It doesn't just happen. It's better when you are this young. If you're over 30, in your 40s, in your 50s today, let me tell you, you don't have time. It was my friend who actually looked at life and said, every one of us, we are living with a terminal disease. We're living with a terminal disease. You won't exist forever. And I'm not one who planned to die. But Martin Luther said, live your life as if Jesus Christ died yesterday, he rose today, and is coming back tomorrow. Do you live life with a sense of urgency? Teach us, Lord, to number our days, Lord, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. That we don't just pray that prayer on our birthdays, but make it a point of daily reflection for us. That the culture out there will always strip us of every godly intent, godly attribute that we have. Make us hear the words that Paul spoke to Timothy when he said, guard what has been committed to your trust. Lord, seal up the cracks in our lives, Lord. Remove the scale from our eyes, Lord, that we might see the lies and we can tell the difference from the truth. Put the filter in our ears, Lord, that we can filter what the world is giving us. Every one of us here, Lord, give us the grace to be able to pause, to ponder, and ask ourselves sincere questions. What is my mental map? What resources, what narratives, what stories am I telling myself? Ask him to reveal to you, where have you excused yourself where you're supposed to have taken responsibility? Where are you challenging yourself above that which you are able? What kind of expectations do you have? I love what that songwriter said. He said, I have won. I have lost. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. But through all of this, Lord, I can see your faithfulness. Life is not measured by those events. It's a continuous story. Learn from your failures. Learn from the lows. Learn from the highs. Learn from the bumps in the road. That is what life is all about. It's not high, 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 high. It's hills and valleys. Hills and valleys. God is not just God of the mountain. He's also God of the valley. Learn from your pain. Learn from the pressure, from the pleasures, so that you can walk, have sure-footedness even as you walk through life. Lord, explain this to everyone here, Lord, on their own level, in a way, Lord, that they can understand. Where do you see yourself? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I just give myself as an example. I have a 2-year plan that when I turn 65, I'm making a huge transition. What's yours? What's yours? So I commend you unto God and to the grace of this word that you've heard. May that grace liberate you, free you, that you may allow the strength of this word to make you stand. Give you your place in the community of those who have gathered to share in the life of Christ. As you go into this week, the Lord bless you. When the opportunities, the doors of that blessing opens, may you see it. Grace, strength, courage is giving you to walk through it, to take full advantage of it. May the Lord be gracious unto you. That this week, when you get to your wit's end, may the grace of God sustain you. May that grace enable you. May that grace not be an opportunity for you to excuse yourself from responsibilities. And may the Lord grant you peace. In a world that is craving for peace at the expense, when they're not willing to pay the price of righteousness, may you find the peace of the Lord.
This message is from the Kingdom Citizens Pavilion, Jos Nigeria.